Hello and welcome back to the Key Arsenal podcast. It is episode 76 today. Hope you're all doing well. I'm your host, Matthew Key, and I'm delighted to be joined by two lovely co-hosts this week. We've got Dad and Carl. How are we both doing?
All good, thank you.
All good, yes.
Good. Sadly, we don't have Madeline joining us today. She's coming home victorious from Plymouth in a uni game where she was captain as well. So good for her, but sadly means she can't be with us this week. But we will get on with it. We will proceed, and we're going to talk about the weekend where, after what happened against Southampton the week before, we were a bit sort of nervy and a bit sort of thinking about it's just about getting through these last few games before the World Cup break. We then had a terrible result on Thursday against PSV, which hopefully isn't going to affect our Europa League qualification and where we're going to finish too much, but it was frustrating and slightly concerning nonetheless. But we responded against Forest on Saturday, and even though we said it's just about the 3 points, it was nice to get a few goals. Carl, let's start with you. You were there on Sunday,
Yep.
which is lucky because obviously it wasn't on TV, despite being the only game on in the UK at that time. But there you go. But yeah, it was one where got another early goal, and the response to scoring early has been a bit mixed. Obviously against Liverpool it wasn't so good. So it was nice to see us, even though it wasn't actually in that first half, go on and finish the game off and get a few goals, which was nice to see.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was a lovely goal as well, that first goal. I mean, the Martinelli's header after Saka's cross on. It proves he can play on one leg. It was a really nice goal, and pleased for Martinelli. Obviously, he put in a lot of work. He works hard and all day. He ain't scored for a while, and so he's got that monkey up his back. We've only got one player with that now, and that's Jesus. And hopefully, his time will come on, in very soon, because we could do with him firing on all cylinders in front of goal. We never let them into the game, and they were a little bit timid. I was a bit surprised after considering they just beaten Liverpool, and the way they chased down everything against Liverpool, and they didn't against us. They looked a little bit intimidated, to be honest. Which is good for us. It shows that we put a marker down somewhere. It's terrible actually. The Madeline's not here because obviously Mr. Nelson, who has always been one of her favourites, took on a starring role, and it was very pleasing to see that. And I was looking forward to hearing what Madeline had to say. So I'm wondering whether to leave it for a week and let her talk about it next week, because he had his moment. He had a special day, 2 goals and assist. But all round the park, there weren't a bad performance. Gabriel made an error, which everyone's picking up on as usual, because Gabriel's becoming the man of the moment for that. Saliba was back to his Rolls Royce best, and yeah, it was a good performance. I'm just a bit disappointed with Forest, but I was as much impressed with us. Lovely.
Yeah, Dad, we've been saying for a while that we felt a performance like that was coming in terms of. I think you think back to the Leicester game where 4-2 certainly flatters them. Just wasn't that close at all. What else has there been at home? The Villa game 2-1 makes it an incredibly close game, which it absolutely wasn't. And Fulham as well, where they scored basically with their first attack of the game, and we had to work hard to get the 3 points on that occasion. So yeah, it's a result that you could say has been coming, even though we've not been at our best the last few weeks. So it was nice to sort of get that out of the way, show that we can score a few goals and do what the likes of City do at home, which is really put teams to bed and just have a nice day out, really.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest, all I've seen is the match of the day highlights, what there was of them. It is, we have sat here, I've sat here talking to both of you individually on this call. You know, somewhere we needed to beat a side well that we should beat well. Cole says he's disappointed. Yeah, maybe. I'm not that disappointed. We've given them a right hiding personally. So, and it is quite nice to see us score 5 goals. We've been a bit prone to recently I'm going to say not making the most of our opportunities, which, you know, even the Southampton game, we had enough chances in the first half to have put the game to bed. I'm not saying we deserved to win. We had moments against Leeds, we weren't great, but we probably, again, could have scored more than we did. I'm not saying, again, we deserved to win. We were fortunate probably to win. So, and there's other games, you know, PSV at home, we deserve more than one, which might come back to haunt us yet. So, yeah, it was nice to see us score. On with Carl. It's nice to see Martinelli. I don't know how many he's scored this season now. He's probably, is that 5 in the league he's scored? Can't remember. Again, you know, Reiss, yeah, my daughter always had a very soft spot for Reiss Nelson, but good for him. Good for him. Came on. Hopefully he's taken his moment and can move on from that and show us what people have always thought he was capable of. I won't talk about one of the other goal scorers, you know, my admiration for one particular player. But again, it's good. We're sharing the goals around. There's one bloke we could do with scoring a goal, but that's only to get the press off his back and probably take a bit of pressure off himself. And then I think his contribution to the team and goaling, I don't know what his goaling, assist, whatever the stat is they call it now is. But
well, he had 3 on Sunday, so
yeah. So yeah, it's good. Good to see the goals shared round. It was a stonking header, by the way. I thought they were a bit unfair on match of the day when they were talking about the defender. Oh, we should have gone with him. He should have got in front of him. The bloke's run about 35 yards to get there first, and he is quick. And sometimes I think people have to just go, yeah, okay. It was a good goal. It was a cracking ball in, but the guy busted up to get in there and score a goal. Instead of somebody sitting there going, oh, it's poorly defended, I think you could actually sit there and go, actually, that was a good goal. So that's me, Carl.
Yeah, I wasn't disappointed that we won 5-0.
No, I
know. If you watched the match day highlights, you might have been under the misunderstanding that Saka got injured accidentally in that clash after about 20 minutes. He was injured after 1 minute, which they didn't bother showing on Match of the Day. But that's why they wouldn't show that when he was really injured, as opposed to where he got accidentally a second injury, if you like. But it was the first injury. He was still limping after the first injury, so he done well to last that long.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll come on to that in a second. Just want to touch on something you mentioned at the start, Carl, which is that sort of fear factor being brought back. Obviously, as we said, Forest last week, albeit at home, beat a Liverpool team that's lacking in a lot of confidence, and teams are looking at it as an opportunity to pick up points instead of, we're just going to play for a point here. And obviously we saw Leeds at the weekend again really take the game to Liverpool, and it wasn't a smash and grab at all, albeit the Leeds goalkeeper made some very good saves. They were well in that game. It was definitely 50-50. So is that something that we've got back, or is that just, do you think that was more to do with Forest at the weekend? They've not been playing well away, especially away from home, or is it just that is the level we're at now, that teams are genuinely worried about facing us?
Well, they should be worried about facing us. And if we go out there in that first 5 minutes like we did the other day and put that on them, if they weren't, they soon will be. I mean, they're very fortunate, but I won't go into that in a moment. But yeah, it was cracking. It's not so much being there, seeing the team that makes it intimidating. It's actually performing that makes it intimidating. And we performed from the off. We closed them down. They knew they weren't going to get any respite. When they tried to close us down, they failed dismally, actually, and gave up on the idea of it. In fact, they tried to. I thought they were trying to do what Southampton done and try and come a bit deeper, and it just did not work for them. We just kept hold of the ball really well and found the spaces really well. And once you're the goal down to us, what do? You can't keep sitting deep. You got to come forward at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay then. So I'll come to you this, Dad, because we watched that game on Thursday, and Kai, you can have your say on this in a second. We were incredibly frustrated by what we saw in terms of not the sort of likes of Martinelli and I can't remember who else played, Xhaka. Not the ones that we see week in, week out, because they're obviously tired from playing 90 minutes at the weekend. It was a tough 90 minutes against Southampton, and knowing that they've got another 90 minutes at the weekend. So for them, you can accept a bit of not necessarily playing at 100% all the way through. But the likes of Vieira, Lokonga, and Eddie up top just didn't look that interested. So what I said actually was that it means that what that shows to Arteta is that when he's looking to make a change at the weekend, or when he's looking to freshen it up because of the amount of games we're playing, he can't turn to Vieira, Eddie, and Lokonga at the minute, because they're not putting in the performance to show they want to be in the first team, no matter what people like Lokonga keep saying that he wants more minutes and whatever. And I have no problem with that. But when you then put in a performance like he did on Thursday, when you do get your chance, it's just not good enough. And then the exact thing happened that I said, where Saka goes down injured, and instead of turning to Vieira, who, if he'd have played well on Thursday and put in a decent performance, puts on Reiss instead, and Daddy took his opportunity with both hands, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's an odd one, isn't he? Young Reiss. He's one of them you've looked at for a few years and thought, there's a player in there. I don't know whether at odd times he's got a little bit big for his boots. I don't know. In fairness to him, he had a really good second half of the season last year in Arnold. He was assisting. The manager at some point had said he needs some product, and he started producing. Yeah, he's come on. We've all been in a panic about Saka getting injured. And what would we do? Well, he's come along, put his hand up. I'm with you. I thought Vieira, although I'm not totally sure he should be playing in wide, because I'm not sure he's got that in him, was disappointing Thursday. Eddie, I don't know what's going on with Eddie at the moment. He's not the player he was towards the end of last season. And whether he's just had, why am I bothering, because I'm never going to start anyway if that bloke's fit. I don't know. He looks bereft of confidence, and he's not making the runs he was making. And again, you might look at it and go, we've changed our style a little bit. Maybe that doesn't suit him quite as much. Jesus gets involved a lot in build-up play, and whether you think anything on or you don't think anything, especially with forwards, the style of a team and how they get the ball forward can either work for you or against you. And I think that's a bit of a problem for us going forward. I think we need to either get Eddie's style of play to suit the team or find a bit more backup. I don't know. I'm looking at Carl. He's probably thinking this bloke's droning on. Don't know what he's talking about because he wasn't there. But
I like Eddie, and I think there's a proper good player in there, and yeah, he's second in the order at the moment. He was third last year, yeah, in the pecking order. He done really well for us at the end of last season. Deserved his contract. He's not playing. It's difficult when you come on as a sub. Don't forget, he's coming on as a sub in most games. We're winning, so he ain't got to worry too much, you know. And we're kind of shutting up shop, or we're losing, and he has to try and change the face of the game, which is really difficult because normally when we're trying to change the face of the game, we don't take off Jesus, and they end up playing Eddie wide, and that makes it much more difficult again for him. So I ain't gonna have a pop at Eddie. I ain't gonna have a pop at Vieira because he's a new boy. It's very difficult. He had no pre-season. I think this winter break will work well for him. It gives him the opportunity to get fully fit, do a regime of pre-season in effect, and work it through. In fact, he can partner up with Emil Smith-Rowe on that one. Hopefully, he'll also be having a pre-season, which he didn't have as well. So that would be good for both of them because Emil Smith-Rowe, we are without doubt missing because he would be probably the first port of call. I don't know what's going on with Tierney. I do worry because I like Tierney a lot. I like most Arsenal fans. We love his passion, we love his desire, and he is a really good fullback as well. Is he just finding the tactical flex difficult to understand? I don't know. So hopefully he'll come good at some point. Tommy's playing brilliant off the bench. And that's mainly off the bench with Tommy, although he's played the last few weeks. So I don't worry too much about the strength in depth. I do worry about the performance against PSV because it was absolute crap. But it's the only crap performance we've had this season. We've drawn and lost one other game. And the one we lost, we should have won. The one we drew, we deserved to draw, although I'm still going to say that referee is absolute cack. So, yeah, nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry. And Sambi, yeah, he does need to keep his mouth shut because that was bad timing to have a crap performance like that after giving it large. But we might have to think about sticking him out on loan for the second half of the season, just to give him some games and getting going, because it's not at the moment. It's not working for him for whatever reasons, and I don't know what they are. Because he looks a really good player, but he ain't as good as what we got. And then he's back, so maybe it's an opportunity to give him some game time elsewhere. I don't know if we want to do that because obviously we're going to have the two fronts and possibly the FA Cup with a bit of luck. We're kind of running that. So you might want to give him some games. Who knows? I don't know. Don't know what Arteta's thinking on that, but the only thing I do know is that Arteta's normally right and he ain't got rid of him yet.
No.
Yeah, and he's stuck with Tomiyasu at left back, which is a difficult one to talk about on Sunday because we didn't really have a lot of defending to do. So yeah, that was fine. But yeah, do we think? Well, certainly not yet. But do we think Reiss is someone that could stake a claim for as someone to start games and make an impact more off the bench and try and really make a difference? Because that is something Arteta's been slightly more reluctant to do is when we're drawing or whatever to then ring the changes.
It's entirely up to him. He's just he by all accounts, and Arteta's been saying it for a couple of months now, that since he's come back to the club, they've seen a change. They've seen a change in him. They feel he's wide awake in training, which seems to be one of the common themes about him. And I think he's just owned up that perhaps he turned up late for training a few times in his early doors, and perhaps was a little bit Charlie Big Potatoes early doors. But it's up to him. He's got some talent. I don't know how much talent. He's played very well against Forest, who are okay. They're bottom of the Premiership. They're a Premiership team though. We've got 2 games coming up. He may play in both. I don't know the situation with Saka, so he may play in both. He may not. But he's got to be ready, because he could be. This is his opportunity. Not just if he stays at Arsenal, but if he moves on. This is his opportunity to go, how high am I going to play? Am I going to be playing for Forest, or am I going to be playing for Palace, or am I going to be playing for whatever, to Everton, or am I going to be playing for Arsenal? Yeah, he's got some.
I'm with you, Carl. Sorry to interrupt you. He's got. I'm going to say tomorrow night he has a real opportunity, because he's going to be at home, and he's. It sounds the obvious, but obviously he's got the crowd behind him. He's got the crowd wanting him to succeed. I suspect tomorrow, no matter whether Saka's 90% fit, 50% fit, or whatever else, Reiss will start in his place tomorrow. He has that opportunity tomorrow to show, it's not just a one-off. And I'm not talking about scoring. I'm talking about contributing to the team. He's got an opportunity tomorrow. I suspect he'll have Eddie up top with him. They should know each other well enough. I don't know who the third one will be. It might be Marquinhos. I genuinely don't know. But if he could show he's got something about him, I think there's an opportunity for him. I'm like you, Carl. It's then, are you going to play for Arsenal, or are you going to play for, you've got right, an Everton, or are you going to end up playing for a Norwich?
A yo-yo team.
A yo-yo team.
And that's entirely up to him, because I think he's got the quality to play at a high level. How high, I don't know. I don't know if he's.
And if he's got it in him to play at Arsenal, it makes life that little bit easier for us, because you've then got the option of bringing Martinelli into the middle occasionally when you haven't got Jesus.
Yeah, it's another option, because it stops us running Saka into the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it gives a little bit of pause for thought. How much level down do we go in when Saka's not there? How many levels down are we going in that position? And if Nelson he scored that first goal, and the second goal started with him on the edge of the area, where he was fouled actually, but he managed to pass the ball.
Fair play to the referee. Actually,
a very good referee played the advantage. And he didn't bust a gut to get up there, but he done what a good player did. He managed the situation. He moved forward, and then took his opportunity when it came. And that was really nice. And the crowd, I know we're not supposed to, but we all cheered and enjoyed it. And it was tremendous.
Disgraceful for the third goal against the bottom of the league, mate. You can't.
Yeah, we
can't be doing that.
We got to get the ump. And Arsenal fans aren't allowed to, so they're not allowed to wear, not allowed to celebrate near the Forest fans, because that's a bit weird, apparently.
We haven't. What you have to remember is we haven't achieved anything yet, so you shouldn't really be celebrating that.
No. So I'm sure every Tottenham fan in the country was quiet last night, saying, "Well, we've not won anything," and they've been like that for the last 30 years. Yeah, I don't think so. Of course, you celebrate. These numpties. You know, whatever team you're with, you do. It's the idea. That's why you're a fan.
Yeah.
Go and watch cricket if you just want to have the occasional, round of applause.
I don't understand why they've got this fixation of, the players going around applauding the fans after the game.
I don't understand why it's a fixation. The fixation only seems to be with us.
Well, I was about to say, and it's only with us, but is it because they didn't used to do it?
Yeah, and they go, oh, they're not allowed to do that. They've never done that. Oh, we don't like that. We want to moan about you.
Yeah, no.
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. The atmosphere there is buzzing for the first time in a while. First time since we've been at the Emirates, really. I mean, they've had the occasions, but this is a constant, and it has been building for the last year and a bit now. And this year it's really taken off, and it's good. It's really good. And these air suckers need to piss off.
I'm glad you said that properly.
Yeah, suck the life out of you, don't they? These people, they're just miserable. Hey, and we're not, are we, Kev?
No. Wish it had been this much fun when I was to sit next to you every Monday morning and we were playing crap.
Yeah. Yeah, with a Chelsea fan next door to us. Yeah, great.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for reminding me of that.
Yeah. Hey ho.
Yes.
So yes, a good one on Saturday. What you said there about Reiss tomorrow, tomorrow, Dad, about the crowd being wanting him to do well. I think the 2 goals as well. It means the crowd are excited that when he gets on the ball. It's not the wanting him to do something when he's on it. It's the expectations go up, and that's what we saw with Saka when it was very much a sort of go on, lad. So we're waiting for something good here. So that's where it needs to be, and we don't expect the consistency right away, but it just comes with playing more games and having the confidence in himself.
Yeah.
We've said it a couple of times actually since he's been back, but he really well, not really. He looks like he's bulked up a bit as well, doesn't he?
Definitely.
Yes. And Carl's right. You that you read odd bits, timekeeping. I never understand how somebody's a professional footballer and turns up to a training ground late. If you're supposed to be there for 10 o'clock on the pitch, ready to warm up, you'd expect somebody to have turned up with plenty of time. And I accept there was other things going on. If your captain's turning up in his Lamborghini at 10:05 or 10:10, it's probably not the best example. But
correct.
If you're trying to make your way at a club, no matter what level, I would have suggested turning up late wasn't probably your smartest move. And it's not as if I don't think Reiss lives a million miles away from Colney Heath. I believe he's quite frequently seen at the Cock at Cock Foster's, ironically, Cole. So, he must be living around there somewhere.
Yeah, none of them live far away from the ground. Not some of the ones who join, and it takes them a year to move and all that. They might live in wherever they were before, but they're normally in hotels and whatever. Should be able to do that. You should be able to sort yourself out pretty sharpish. And everyone loves one of their own. Every club wants their own to succeed.
Yeah.
And we're all behind him. We don't want any pressure on him. We're just behind him. We'll support him all the way. When he makes mistakes, you'll find out that we support. Well, look at what happened to Saliba earlier on the season when he scored an own goal. But this crowd now is right behind every single one of them, and that includes him. So
yes,
get on and do it, mate. Go on, have a go.
I suppose the other thing is he's got some time as well, because obviously at the minute he isn't in the starting lineup, and a few years ago when the likes of Saka and Martinelli came into the team, even at their age and the lack of football they played, they needed to be on it right away because they're an integral part of our team. Whereas for Reiss, he can afford to take his time with it a bit more because he's not the first choice at the minute, and obviously we're quite good anyway. So there's going to be time for him to make an impact, but it's not sort of going to be essential every week that we need that from him, which also takes some pressure off you if you're coming on in that situation.
It takes the pressure off him, but if he wants a new contract with Arsenal, which is my understanding from what he says is what he wants, he's got to feel some pressure, and he needs to. I mean, we're all under pressure in our jobs. We're all under pressure, but the intensity of it, the spotlight of it in his profession, it's never going to be any different. Coming off the bench or starting, you're still going to have a level of intensity and pressure that you won't have in my role or someone else, or someone else's role. So a bog standard jobby type thing. He's got a big. There's a lot of people watching him every week. A couple of million probably on telly around the world or more. So
yes,
you got to deal with it. Otherwise, go and play for Cockfosters. We'll welcome you, Reiss.
Yeah, and hopefully he'll enjoy it as well, which will be great to see. Okay, so that's we've done Reiss's goals and Martinelli's goals. Cole, this Thomas Partey lad, he can hit a ball from outside the box, can't he? I mean, who knew?
Who would have known that after the first 40 games or 50 games or however many he's played? Good grief, couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo. But all of a sudden, he's hit two pretty much the same shot, pretty much unstoppable. Banging that
one on the
corner.
first day of the month, one on the basically the last.
The hilarious thing was later on he had another shot and it went miles over and everyone went, "Way!" as opposed to and started moaning. They all sort of cheered because it was like, we've got our Thomas back. But it was a lovely goal. Wasn't it? Great finish. What a fantastic finish. Better than that other fella in midfield's finish later on. But yeah, it was fantastic. Top corner, top. It was literally a carbon copy, weren't it? It was just at the other end. It was great. It was laid on a plate for him, to be fair. I mean, Nelson literally, he couldn't have it. He just rolled it along that green baize. It's like a snooker table, isn't it? So it's not going to bobble or anything, and he just banged it. But he must have moved about 2 or 3 foot in the air, I would have thought, if not more.
I was going to say, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, no, I don't think it's as good as the one against Tottenham. And then you see the angle from behind where he hits it, and it goes around 2 of their players before it swerves in, and it is literally, it's the definition of the top bins.
Yeah.
Brilliant strike. And you say he'd missed one later on. But funnily enough, I don't actually remember seeing him have too many between the two. So whether he's actually learned when to take them now or the right position.
He was too busy herding sheep, or forest players as they're also known, because he just absolutely dominated that midfield.
The second goal that reached his first goal came from his lovely pass to Xhaka, didn't it?
Yeah. Yes, indeed. He had a tremendous game. Okay, I'm going to say it's only Forest, which sounds really horrible, but they probably deserved that on their performance. It's only Forest, but he's done it pretty much all season, as have the rest of them. And that's where Nelson's got to join the rest of them in doing it against the better teams.
As I say, I think if you're me, you look and the goals is. We haven't got a Harry Kane, and we haven't got a Haaland, Mo Salah, whoever else. But one thing we seem to be doing is sharing them round, Carl. If you look, so I'm trying to think. I think the only one, Gabriel and Saliba have both scored a couple.
Neither are our fullbacks in whatever have scored, have
None of
they?
the fullbacks have scored, but both centre halves have scored a couple.
Yeah, and everyone else has
Saka.
on a regular basis. Who plays on a regular
Yeah.
basis.
And
both fullbacks have got plenty of assists as well.
Yeah.
But certainly Ben White, Zinchenko got a few at the start of the season.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I think for me that the bigger thing this year is, we're all bemoaning the last few years. Okay, we've got no one to score, and when you look though as a team, it's not just about whether your number 9 or whatever number he is scores. If you look so far, that Jack has scored, Hartley's weighed in with a couple, Odegaard. Yeah.
Yeah, Xhaka and Partey have both scored more goals than I can remember them scoring.
Yeah,
So sorry, I jumped in there before you mentioned
no. But
your Lord.
What I'm trying to say is, if you look, that's from I don't know how many years between them. That's 8-9 goals between them.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 in midfield, which is a reasonable contribution, Carl. We just, we weren't really scoring goals. I don't know whether you'd count Smith Rowe last year as a forward or a midfielder. Probably.
He's playing as a winger, wasn't he, most of the time? Yeah, that's in the league. That's 3 from Xhaka, 3 from Xhaka, 2 from Partey, and 3 from Odegaard, I think.
3 or 4. Might have been 4 now.
I mean, there was 2 against Bournemouth, wasn't there? But I think there might have been another one, but I can't remember.
And I think so. If you look at it, Cole, other than the fullbacks, and they have contributed, all the people who've played as normally fullbacks have assisted.
Yep.
If you look at it that way, your whole team's carrying your threat going forward.
Without a doubt.
Which is good.
And the other thing is, and I've just looked at this now, is that 12 games into the season, we're now the second highest scorers with 30. So looking at about 2.5 goals a game, seven behind Man City, which is a few, but they've got that bloke up top who's quite good. 4 ahead of Tottenham, who've got, you'd say, 2 world-class players in attack. And
Tottenham that scored that many goals?
26.
That's more than I thought.
From how many games is that? Is that 13, isn't it?
13, yeah, so an extra game. Liverpool 23 goals with all those attacking players they've got.
That's going to change. So they're going to up their game at some point. They'll have this mid-season break, and they'll come back a different team. They cannot carry on like they have been. I know it's an aging team, but I think they've still got a hurrah in them.
If you look on the other side as well, conceded the second least. So scored second most, conceded second least. Conceded 11. Newcastle conceded 10. Also level with City, 11 as well. So it's not the goal contributions all the way. They're not then being sort of compromised by the other end. We look very solid, and that was another nice thing on Saturday was to get a clean sheet at home.
Yeah. I think without a doubt you can. I love Lacazette, as you know. I really liked him, but this guy's a level up. This guy is a level up, and the way he brings other players in, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a player who brings other players into the game as much as he does. And I'm sure there are players I can't think of at the moment, but that's his game. He brings other players into it. He's snatching at chances at the moment. It feels like to me when he gets the opportunity, but he's in all the good build-ups, all the good stuff we do. He's involved, and it's not a 1-2 a game. It's like on that, every time he gets the ball, you think something could happen. So it's really good at one end for that reason. So it's an upgrade, if you like. And at the other end, with Saliba coming in, I ain't going to diss Ben White here because Ben White's playing, but he doesn't half look good at centre half. I can't recall a centre half who you just look at and you just think he's got everything. You know, at that age, you know, is it Laurent Blanc? Maybe, you know, that little look about him. Is it Van Dijk, as he's been compared to him a bit? I don't think he's. I think he's more Rio Ferdinand. I know I've said this before, but you know, the guy's got quality, and it is an upgrade. Whichever way you want to look at it, you know, you think, well, yeah, it is an upgrade on what we had. We had two really good centre halves, or still have got two really good centre halves in Ben White and Gabriel. All right, so yeah, he's a monster, scarily good, and a nice deep voice as well.
Yeah, I think obviously last couple of years you looked at us and thought, yeah, decent team, some good players in there. Now you look at it and you think there's not really a weak link in the starting 11, and then additionally to that, you've got some proper players who you'd say are in the top 3 of their position in the league as well. So obviously we haven't had a chance to properly compare that to Europe yet, but certainly in the league, you look at the likes of Saliba, Saka, Odegaard this season, Partey, Xhaka. So far, you look at the rest of the league and you think, yeah, they're top 5, top 3 in their position, which we certainly haven't had for a while. We've had for a few years, which is nice.
Yeah, we've had some really good players, and now we've got a lot of really good players.
Yeah,
I don't want to jinx it, just because, you know, we're still early doors in the season. We're only 12 games through, and I don't want to jinx it. But if this carries on, it's going to be fun.
Yeah,
you know,
you don't need to even say it for this season. In the next, well, for a while, it looks like we're going to be in a really good place. And if we get a couple of contracts sorted, we're certainly going to be a proper good team.
Yeah, you hope so. I hope so. There seems to be an understanding that we have got a number of players coming through. We have got a number of players of a very young age in the team as well. And every now and then he just pulls one of the youngsters into the team, doesn't he, into the squad, just to give them a bit of experience, because I think a few of these we might be hearing about in the next couple of years. Hopefully we will. I mean, we've got a few out on loan who've done quite well, and you know, hopefully we'll get a few more coming through. It's always nice.
Obviously, if we get the job done tomorrow, sort of go 2-3 goals up, I mean, it'd be nice to see some of the youngsters go. Obviously, Edwards has been on the bench. I know you say Matt Smith all the time, Guy. He might finally make it on, so that'd be good to see.
It would be nice if we can turn it on and make 3 fairly early subs, 60-minute subs, and then make 2, you know, or even more if we can get that far in front by perhaps some tempting fate there. And then get the 5 out as quick as possible.
Yeah.
5 on. Yeah,
and you wanna rest as many players as possible, because we've got a big game on Sunday. I'll start with you for this, Carl, because I was saying this to Dad actually the other day, is that places like United, Anfield as well, we got a pretty terrible record at, and you still think when we go there, the quality that we have, we still play a bit of the fear factor, a bit of the psychological barrier in the way. Whereas Stamford Bridge, we've won the last couple of years, albeit one was COVID behind closed doors, but last year won normal conditions without a few key players actually. Obviously that was the game Eddie was up top for, but so got the win there last season. So it's gonna be a place that we're gonna go to with confidence, and a place we're gonna look to take all 3 points from.
I'm sure that's the idea. Yeah, absolutely. but that doesn't hold any fear for us anymore. We had a terrible run there up until the 90s, about 96, 97. I think it was Wenger's first year when he came in for half the season. We hadn't won there for donkey's years. Even being the only place we lost a game in the 1991 season. And then since then we've had some good results. You know, we've had some stinkers for a few years, but we've had some good results. It doesn't intimidate us there. It's generally these days a nice pitch, which obviously helps us.
Rubbish atmosphere. Some of the worst fans in the league. Awful.
Jangling their jewellery. Yeah, they are a little bit like that now. It's not the same as perhaps it once was. But we know what that feels like because we've had it as well, and I think Spurs are having it at the moment with some of their plastic fans coming out of the woodwork. But yeah, so it's not the most intimidating ground to go to anymore. It is an opportunity. They are a really good team, though. They are a really good team, and you can't go there expecting to win. They are going to fight for every, everything. They'll give us a battle, and if we're going to win, we're going to have to perhaps ride our luck sometimes. And we're going to have our finishing boots on, like Eddie did last year, in fact.
Yeah, obviously I say we want to go there and win, Dad. That's certainly going to be the aim. And obviously you can't say yet because you don't know how the game's going to go. But you would still have to say that you walk away with a point. You could certainly accept that, and then with the one game to go against Wolves, you win that one, you're still in a very good position. Obviously, as much as you get a point, you also stop them gaining on you as well.
Yeah, 100%. If you offered me a point at this moment in time, I would take it. I'd admire the manager. I think the manager's good. Tactically, I think he's very good. He's had a few problems. Aubameyang's going to score just to annoy me. But yeah, if you offer me a point now, I'll take a point now. Whether that would be a good point or a bad point, I wouldn't know till about whatever time, 2:00 Sunday afternoon. So whoever scheduled 12:00, I don't understand it, by the way. Maybe
no, it's
all
ridiculous
because in the King's Road were already booked up, so they thought I'd make it 12:00 so people could go in later.
It's ridiculous. It's not it's not a tense derby or anything like that. We don't particularly like them. They don't particularly like us. But it's never been a game that you've thought, oh no, it could be a lot of trouble there, is it?
It's because it's down at telly. It's a BT game. It was supposed to be a Saturday, which was never going to happen, obviously, because we know it was because of Europe. It was always going to be a Sunday, and that's why it's a Saturday at 12:00. They could have put it on at 7 in the evening, but they chose not to. But they couldn't do 2 or 4. Presumably, Sky have got 2 games at them points, so they could only have put it on at 7:00, and they've chosen not to. They've chosen to put it on at 12. Either one, 7:00's rubbish as well, isn't it? In the Sunday evening.
Yeah,
I would have enjoyed it. But
we are complaining, but in the evening it can always be a bit of a better atmosphere for the home fans, so it might help us out. Who knows? We know our lot are going to be up for it away from home, that's for sure.
Yep.
The game against Man United a couple of weeks ago, the crowd weren't particularly loud then, and that was in the evening. So, they're a team actually that are suffering with quite a few injuries. Obviously, Reiss James, I'd probably say he's their best player. So to have him not playing is handy for us. Obviously, if he could get fit for England in the World Cup, that would be ideal. But I'd say he's probably their best player. Can't remember who else they've got out. Is it Koulibaly's injured? I believe.
Yeah,
I think there might be a couple of others.
I think Kepa will be back, so that's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because he's come back into the team. Very good with his feet, obviously. Still looks a bit dodgy from crosses and what have you, but yeah, fair play to him.
I think he's half decent, actually. I've always quite liked him. I always thought he got a lot of unfair stick that some other goalkeepers don't get. In up north, they seem to get away with
But
some stuff.
Fofana's another one that's injured for them as well.
Yeah, he's out for a while though.
They've got
Kante.
Massive squad though, Matt.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Out looking outside in, and I don't watch them particularly. But if you look at them, I would actually say they've probably got a better squad than Liverpool. I'd probably say Liverpool first 11 might be a better team, but squad wise, I would say they're better. So
yeah.
And they got internationals to replace old line ahead in defence, didn't they? So
yeah,
there shouldn't be any problem there.
Well, they got a £60 million defender they keep taking off after 20 minutes, and
who's that?
Cucurella. They keep playing now back three, which isn't quite the move.
The bloke who had his hair pulled against Tottenham.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't referred to VAR.
No, it was, but he didn't have time. He wanted a bit more time. He was rushed.
So
Mike Spanadine.
They got, so they got players like that. I mean, Thiago Silva. I'm not sure if you run at him what happens, but he's probably not going to get booked or anything anyway.
I was going to say he fouls you and doesn't get booked. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, I have to say he's absolutely brilliant. To be fair, 37 years old, and the weekend he cleared 2 off the line in about 30 seconds to stop it being even worse than he is. He is brilliant still.
All
so
right. I'll go with you there.
Certainly be happy if.
Good player.
Yeah,
I'd certainly be happy if Saliba was still with us at 37 and that good. That's for sure.
Carl, I'm not saying he's not a good player. He is a good player. It's just my slight note that he seems to get away with an amount.
Yep, agree.
And in midfield, quite strong. Admittedly, they're missing Kante. They got Jorginho, the bloke who's allowed to commit more fouls than anybody else in a game and not get booked. Who would that have been against? That might have been against us. There you go.
How do we think it's going to play out with them? Obviously, playing with a back three.
I don't know what time Sterling's going to get a penalty, but it will be in that game sometime, won't it?
Yeah, so they're obviously going to be playing a back three. That means one less in midfield for them? But obviously, then they've got the bigger protection at the back. How do we think that's going to play out? Because we haven't really faced a team that's played a back three so far this season, other than Tottenham, obviously, who did absolutely nothing, so it was irrelevant anyway.
Depends how they play the back three. I don't. Do they play a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2?
3-5-2.
3-5-2.
So if you've got a couple of wing backs, then you'd have thought the long-haired one would have been suited to that one. But there you go. If you've got a couple of wing backs, that might be handy. It might give you a bit of space in the centre. And if you don't play with a couple of wing backs, then you're stuffed against us, you really, because you've got 3 against 3, and you're going to struggle at that point. So he's tactically acute, so he's not going to let them get outnumbered like that. It'll come down to the who's better on the day. It won't come down to, shouldn't come down to tactics.
No.
Yeah, they're really struggling against Man United, and I can't remember what they changed to sort of get some level of control back in the game, but he changed something after about 35 minutes, which I wouldn't say switched it, but certainly made it a more even game.
Yeah, it's very difficult playing Man United because they're the best team in the world again at the moment. So, according to the press, and take Rashford to the World Cup because he's had 2 good games this season, and they should go to the World Cup because of that, and probably will because Southgate's a knob, but doesn't deserve his chance. Yeah. But it should be a good game. Chelsea, you know, you look at them, look at their players, and they've got some excellent players, fantastic players. It'll be a tough one, and we'll you know, we haven't done anything until we play Chelsea, isn't that? That'll be the latest line that will come out of the weekend. Yeah, be a good game.
Well, I was just gonna ask that actually. Would it? I hate the term, but would it be a statement if we were to go there and beat them? Obviously, we've beaten Liverpool and Tottenham at home, but going away would that make a
It is a statement. It is a statement. You know, like when they were doing us all the time 20 years ago, 15 years ago, when they took over the mantle as London's #1. So it is a statement if you start on a regular occurrence, start turning them over. Yeah.
I don't think any top 6 team has beaten another top 6 team away from home yet. So yeah, you're right. It would be a decent win, and a win that would, again, I don't want to go into this not title race challenge, but it certainly show what we all think, that we are a pretty good team.
Yeah, we're a good team and we're up there, and it's nice to be up there, and I'd like it to stay that way for a little bit longer, well, for the whole season, to be honest, but I think we deserve to be up there for a bit longer at least.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And they've got Conor Gallagher as well, Matthew, who I particularly like.
Yeah, he does give them some legs in midfield. He is definitely one that should be in the England squad, in my opinion.
Can you play at fullback? So I'm just thinking like Gareth Southgate there. Can he play at fullback?
But yeah, so yeah, that's on Sunday, and then 2 more games because we've got Brighton in the League Cup, and then Wolves, which is also away. I can't remember what day that game is.
Saturday.
It's a Saturday. Wow.
7:45 kickoff.
It has been weeks since we last played on a Saturday.
Yeah, I'm in Canterbury. I'm on the way back from Canterbury that day, so hopefully I'll be back in time to watch it in a pub around Victoria Way.
Sports bar.
Is there a sports bar up there? Is there, or is it the sports
Victoria,
bar?
the sports bar? Yeah.
All right, okay. That may well be where I head to. I'll think about it.
We'll see if they have a manager by then as well. So.
Yeah, indeed. If I'm a bit early, I'll try and get up to Highbury and watch it around there.
But yeah, we've got Chelsea on Sunday, then Wolves the next Saturday to look forward to before everything stops. And then we've got the ladies still going very well. Another good weekend from them, which was difficult because they had to come from behind. Finally conceded a goal, but got the win. Tony Adams is still in Strictly, Carl. I know you're enjoying his performances.
He actually danced quite well the other day. It was a bit of a shock. But you got to say, I mean, the work they must put in on these things is incredible. But he's obviously going. He looked so embarrassed that first week. Yeah. He has put in a lot of work.
I know you don't listen to TalkSport as much as I do, Carl, but Ray Parlour. I don't
listen to it at all.
Ray Parlour said that first week, Tony Adams had done 70 hours of training, and he was just shattered.
Doesn't surprise me, but he has got the discipline, so he will. You know, he is putting the the effort in, and he is actually getting something tangible out of it, which is surprising because I would never have thought that after week 1 that he would that he actually would be able to dance. And he's actually proven he actually can dance now. No, he should be going out in the next week or 2, but hopefully he'll make it up to Blackpool.
Yeah, that's the dream. Have him dance on the hallowed Blackpool floor. But yeah, all looking quite rosy again after a couple of off weeks, and hopefully that continues on Sunday, and until the lovely World Cup break. But yeah, thank you both very much for joining me. Very nice to talk about that, Carl, especially because me and Dad are not watching the game. Having your insight as someone who's watched all 90 minutes is very helpful.
I did try and stay glum throughout the match, just for the sake
Just to
of all
stay focused, yeah.
these air suckers. But it's just, yeah, it was a great atmosphere
will be proud of you, Carl.
Yeah, the crowd were great again. Forest actually, you could hear them for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we scored. Didn't really hear them again after that, to be honest. But yeah, it was. That's the thing. The crowd is vibrant. The crowd is younger, a bit like the scene, and it's great. I'm looking forward to it continuing for at least a few years.
Yeah, get that grandson of yours up there.
Yeah, grandson and daughter. I've got to get them up there. Junior gunners again. Junior gunners. The third generation. Well, I'm not third generation of me. Obviously, my old man was also. So that's 4th generation that I know of. I don't know about my granddad. I presume he supported Arsenal as well.
But yeah, thank you both for joining me. Thank you all for listening, and we'll be back next week. But until then, it is goodbye.